makes me want to throw up, that I have to sit there and look at some 22-year-old heiress, fat on taxpayer money and people going bankrupt and losing their houses in Europe and the United States and bedlam breaking loose and old people eating dog food literally. So George Soros and people like her can live in $150 million houses and take over Greek islands. It's sick. These people are parasites. They're out in the open. It's disgusting. And all over the country and all over the world, they are raping us 7 ways to Sunday, and I've had enough of it. It doesn't get any more out in the open, naked, brazen than this.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cow Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
I have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today, seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at PrisonPlanet.tv. In the past 2 months, over 2,000 natural disasters have been recorded. With the ongoing economic crash, millions of Americans can't afford food. Also, because of the exploding price of fuel, many farmers can't afford to plant their crops. We must take control of our greatest dependency, food. Folks, you can trust eFoods Direct, the 28-year veteran of long-term storable foods, and they're here to help. For a limited time, when you place your order for a 3-week supply of the best storable food on the planet, you will receive the 4th week absolutely free. You will save $75 and receive a full month's supply for less than $8 a day. This offer ends on June 22nd, so act now and buy 3 to get the 4th one free from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or go online to efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Your order deadline is June 22nd. To buy 3 and get 1 free, call 800-409-5633 or visit efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Look, it's very simple in the final equation. Powerful groups have always gotten together, taken over governments, whatever the system is, and started consolidating all businesses, all industry, all land under them through fraud. It's called tyranny. And it's a disease that every republic, every nation, every empire gets, and we got it really bad. Now, this is simple common sense in mathematics. If special interests can make you build the sports stadium and make you build the Formula One and make you pay trillions of dollars in, quote, bailouts to them that they designed, holding economies hostage, what comes next? Every step they take, they get wilder, they get crazier, they get more out in the open, and a lot of people get more disheveled, more people get more downtrodden, they get more lackadaisical, they get more and more that they just give up. And then what happens is societies totally collapse, production drops down to nothing, and the banking parasites move on to the next country they haven't fully dominated yet just because it's still got a lifeblood. So it's very, very simple. The globalists are setting up a tyranny to continue the mining operation, and they are shearing the sheep now down to the bone. Look at America now as a giant farm. And they're targeting the middle class. That's why every time I turn TV on, CNN, ABC News, This Week with Christina Amanpour, any of them, it's Warren Buffett, it's Ted Turner, it's Bill Gates, what great heroes they are, how they care so much about everybody, how they love us, how they want to raise taxes on everybody, on the, quote, rich. That means somebody making $500,000 a year, $100,000 a year. And how they don't pay enough taxes. Meanwhile, they have the laws written to where they pay 0 to 2.4, 2.8. Google, Microsoft, all of them. Now, they are getting most of their contracts from government, most of it from major combines. They're creating monopolies. So you have the richest people in the world constantly promoting higher taxes, which they have written the laws to be exempt from. It's elementary. And you go to EDS and Ross Perot, he got financed by government contracts. You look at Microsoft, all these people. Oracle, it's always government seed money. And that's how they control the system. And so you sit there and you watch people exempt from the taxes, telling us that we need to have our taxes raised for constant, hotel projects and golf courses and developments, Formula One, NASCAR, billion-dollar sports stadiums, as they make obscene profits, not from free market. They're squeezing the blood out of us, and I've had enough of it. And it's time for the stupid moron liberals to shatter their paradigm and realize, just like in Soviet Russia, any big pot of money is going to be robbed by the insiders. The only way you stop that is true libertarian free market. But you got the fake libertarians, like the founder of PayPal, who's all into transhumanism and world government openly. We've been doing research on him. And the head of Microsoft and all of them, they're openly trying to censor the web and consolidate it for a monopoly for them. They're not free market. And you've got them saying anything corporate is okay. These corporations act as governments. They grow fat off of our money. And so you've got to learn that there's a counterfeit of true libertarian ideas. You need local autonomy and control. You need to be self-sufficient. And mega big things are always bad because they always become and operate like governments. The Rockefellers, going back 100 years ago, would send their Pinkerton security and people just out to mow down whole groups of people that own their property. Sometimes they'd kill hundreds at a swath. Look up history. They were bigger than government until folks stood up to them. These are terrorists. Now, Catherine Austin Fitts joins us, and I'm glad that we got her on today for the balance of the hour to talk about the move towards World War III, the open move for ground troops into Libya, talk of invasions into Syria, aircraft carriers steaming into the area, all of this coming down as they openly announce a private global corporate government we will pay our carbon taxes to. And she's a former assistant secretary of housing for federal House Commissioner under Bush 1, managing director and member of Wall Street firm Dillon Read & Co., and she has led the portfolios and investment strategy for $300 billion of financial assets and liabilities, Solari.com, and she blew the whistle on corruption more than a decade ago. And she was also the president of Hamilton Securities Group, investment bank and financial software developer. She can expose the whole promise situation with that software. But, Catherine, am I wrong in saying we can see the acceleration? Clearly they're pulling the trigger on global conflict as a smokescreen for destabilization to further consolidate wealth worldwide?
Well, the great, this has been going on for some time. We're moving into the Middle East and asserting much greater control. And part of that, Alex, is more war. And part of it is with the economy stalled to the extent it is. I hate to say this, but we're in a war machine, and the war machine needs another war. So whether it's conquest of more markets to keep the system subsidized or more war to keep the war machinery going.
Hey, Catherine, are you on a cell phone?
Yes.
Because I'm having trouble picking up Are you near a landline?
I'm not.
Okay, well, just are you on a hands-free?
Yes.
Can you unplug the hands-free?
I'm not using a headset.
Okay, well, just try to get the receiver closer to your mouth because I want to be able to hear the important things you're saying. Go ahead, start over.
So, Alex, the whole planet is run with an investment model. I call it the central banking warfare model. And the central banks print money, and then the military makes people make it. And right now, it's in a downward spiral. It's not efficient. So as we centralize, we choke off real market activity. You're right, real markets work, and we're not using them. And the more centralized it becomes, the sort of the weaker it becomes, the more fragile it becomes, and then the more market you need. And so moving in a much bigger way. It doesn't surprise me the Bilderbergers are talking about much more war in the Middle East. They need much more war in the Middle East, especially if you're going to keep driving up the oil price. So if you're going to have a controlled and very high oil price, then you've got to assert control of the Middle East or you can't get there. So, we've seen an effort globally to maintain a very high oil price, and they need much more control in the Middle East if they're going to make that happen. And they need it if they're going to keep the war economy going. So as long as we're in this model, we're going to see more and more warfare, both economic warfare and physical warfare. It's sort of an economic imperative. Now, it's very unpleasant, but the reality is, can we change the model? And you're right. Part of changing the model is decentralizing. And right now, there's been a tremendous effort to centralize, and it's choking off entrepreneurial activity and capital to entrepreneurial activity everywhere. And, one of the challenges, though, Alex, is if you look at every American's household budget and if you look at their assets and their savings and their investments, we're all financing it. So, most people, for example, hold tremendous amounts of money in treasury securities and other government.
And you talk about ways to divest, to get out of their system on your Solari website. That's excellent. But why every time a global implosion starts and they're greedily consolidating wealth, but it's also endangering their system at the same time, why do these elites always try to launch new wars?
Because war is good for business. In other words, war, how did we get out of the Depression? We had World War II. So, unfortunately, we now have several generations of people, both leaders and societies, that know how to make money from war, but they don't know how to make money from peace. I mean, war is a good business, and it's a way to generate business fast, and to pick up natural resources cheap, and to get more. I hate to say it, for many, many centuries, war is work, and that's what this system knows how to do. And the question is, can we get to another system? Part of what you're watching, and we're seeing this with the possibility of a Greek default yet again hanging over the market, is we have an entire generation of baby boomers in the first world who generated lots of capital, but now they're aging and they're ready to retire. And it's very economically attractive to abrogate those contracts and shift the capital out to the emerging markets or out into space, which is what they're doing. And they've shifted that money out, and now the boomers are ready to retire, and that the politics of that have to be faced. And it's a very ugly politics, and it's a very scary politics.
Yeah, the baby boomers' money...
have another war.
Exactly. The baby boomers' money has been stolen, and so now we've got to go into a pure authoritarian system so they don't get too uppity during that process. But I don't see things going well for the globalists, for the social engineers, and that's my big concern, Catherine, is that they're full of hubris, chutzpah, whatever you want to call it, and they have the nukes, they have the military, but and they're committed to holding on to power and expanding it, but you can see the collision course where it takes us to rack and ruin.
I agree. I think they are having real trouble. And they're having real trouble, Alex, because implementing the various plans to let the baby boomers down, nice or hard, are not working. Trying to get an austerity program implemented in Greece, they're facing unbelievable pushback. And so you have not only the sort of competition between the pro-centralization and the pushback from everybody else,